Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be rambling my thoughts on how exactly it works when somebody else manifests us, we pick up on it, and then we start manifesting them. Basically, how do two souls interact when it comes to a relationship and manifestation? This was a request from one of my followers and I absolutely loved it. I was so excited when I saw it, so thank you, Chloe, for writing your comment. It was so sweet. It meant so much to me. I got so excited when I saw it and I was actually really feeling inspired to do a video like this, and so seeing her comment just really affirmed that the people need to hear me talk about this. So I'm just gonna go on my little ramble and it'll make sense, right? It'll make sense in ways. So it's a complex thing. Now, when we start to get into how souls interact, it's on a quantum level, which can just take a lot of time for our brains to wrap themselves around. I've been studying these things for a while now, and every time I have an aha moment, they just build on top of one another, and it's crazy because it'll be like, well, I knew this already, but I didn't see it in the way I see it now. So this is going to be my best attempt to explain my understanding of how this works. Now, manifestation is a term that we use for consciously creating and working with the quantum realm, with our higher dimensional selves to create in our physical 3D reality. So it's not that we're the only ones manifesting just because we're conscious of it and we're studying it and we're learning about it. This is how things come to be on this plane of existence. So manifestation is the way of life, because I definitely tossed around the ideas of the ethics behind consciously manifesting romantic partners or people into our lives, period. We manifest everything, our friends and our partners. Apparently my dog doesn't appreciate when people are whistling in a public space. Someone was out in the hallway whistling and he did not like it. Anyway, so I've thought about this because there was a relationship that I had where I later learned that the partner I had was practicing black magic, and it just really led me to think about a lot of these things. Basically, I had such a negative experience with this one partner, but I'm over here consciously manifesting, a beautiful, loving relationship into my life. Where is that line? And how does that work? And so I have a lot of thoughts about this. One, to start off with, the difference between the two was that my self-worth at the time and what I thought was acceptable was completely low, or extremely low, and I gave my power away to people all the time. So in a way, that person that was manifesting me to come back to and stay in a relationship dynamic that was not healthy for me, I found it acceptable. And so I was participating in it. And when I started to feel, so what happened was I entered into a relationship with someone long distance, and things started to fall apart after I thought that they had gotten really great. And then I'm trying to think of what happened. So we break up, and we were supposed to just be friends, but they were still acting like I was their partner. And when I tried to set boundaries around communication and, just that kind of stuff, they started an argument with me that I wasn't being fair, and that it was a me problem. And I was like, no, I think that I'm being reasonable. But they didn't want to respect my boundaries, and so I actually said, okay, then I think we just need to take a break entirely. So in this, in this space of no communication that I had enforced, I had decided that like if after a period of 30 days of no communication, I was still feeling things for them and desired pursuing the relationship in some way, I would try and reconnect. Now, over this time, it became increasingly more distressing, the amount that they were in my head. And I didn't know anything about manifestation at this time. And basically what was happening was that they did. They knew a lot about manifestation. And, you know, I still don't fully know what chaos magic is. It just doesn't sound great to me. But they were practicing things, you know, through the law of thought transmission to get me to feel the way that they wanted me to feel towards them. And because I didn't have a lot of self-assuredness in my own power, and while I did set that one boundary and enforce it, I really wasn't good at boundaries at all. Like, I'm shocked I even did that. So basically over this period of no contact, I could not get them out of my mind, and it was distressing to me because it felt like they were taking over my brain. Now, obviously, we are in charge of our own energies. So if I had believed this and felt that I was in control of myself, I would have just revoked consent and, you know, said, no, I don't want this. But this was a huge lesson for me. So on a soul level, this was aligning with my wounding. And that's why this dynamic was allowed. So as much as I want to be like, oh, it was black magic and, you know, this person went against my consent, I didn't know that I could, and it showed me how to step into my power. So interesting situation, right? But I'm going to move into how we are manifesting in healthy ways. But I just wanted to give that as an example of contrast. So now moving into how we are manifesting relationships. So on an energetic level, our consciousness is existing in a higher dimensional space. And then on the highest level, all of our consciousness is connected, right? We are all one under source, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. But we are down in these three-dimensional bodies, and there is separation in the 3D sense. But there's technically no separation between us because at the root we are all one. So free will is like, my understanding of free will is that we consciously make choices based on our level of self-worth and self-understanding. And it really aligns with what wounding our soul has and what needs to go on, this sort of thing. And that human experience, consciousness, existence is about us healing our source wounding and returning into alignment with source. So as much as it's like really easy to just, you know, get caught up in the human experience, and I think that we should be rooted in a human experience, the human experience was created from this much more existential thing. So that being said, I think that we ping off of one another so much. So because we are reflecting back and forth to help each other heal. So like what happens is, you know, somebody sees someone that they're interested in, that they find attractive, and, or, you know, it's manifested into your life, but based on your energetic state. So two souls will be aligned one way or another, right? Because you guys are going to ping off of one another in a way that benefits both of you for whatever your soul or higher consciousness, higher self thinks is best. So that's why you can hear the term like soulmates. Oh, we're supposed to be like learning lessons with them. You know, people put a lot of categories on the different types of dynamics that we experience spiritually when it comes to romantic relationships. But I think every relationship is a learning experience. And yeah, some of them we decide don't need to be in our lives after the lesson is learned. But some of them are lifelong lessons. So you have someone that is interested in you, and maybe you're not really thinking about them too much. Like say that you match on a dating app and you found them attractive, and we don't, who knows, it's like the chicken and the egg, who started it, right? But two souls are connected. You see each other and one of you is like, oh, they're cute, I kind of like them, and then they see you and they're like, oh, they're cute, I wonder if they like me, and you start this pinging of this back and forth. And it's such a natural thing when we don't know about manifestation. It's just like, we just call it a crush, right? That you just think about this person and you daydream. Like think back to maybe high school or even middle school when you had your first crush, and maybe it led to what you called dating back then, which was like basically you just like held hands at recess, in my day at least. And I think maybe you set like your AOL status to like something about them, but think back to that time. You just had thoughts of like how lovely they were, you're like, oh, I really like them. And I think that person then picks up on the reasons that you like them, and it gives them a confidence boost, and they're like, hey, I think she thinks I'm funny, something like that. And then they're like, well, I think she's pretty, and then you start to feel like, well, he thinks I'm pretty, and the law of thought transmission is at play too, so you're pinging off of each other. And I think I talked about this in my video about how we are healing one another, because sometimes you're in a relationship with someone or you're getting to know someone, and maybe you start having like weird thoughts of like, I don't know, their nose looks kind of funny, I don't know if I'm really into them anymore. Did you just randomly think that their nose suddenly isn't attractive after you thought this person was attractive for 2 or 3 weeks? Or did they maybe start sinking into their self-esteem issues around their nose, and now you're picking up on it? So this is the way that we can end up like helping each other heal, because say it's something like, because once you become conscious of this and you decide that you do want to manifest a healthy dynamic with someone, when you perceive their negative thoughts about themselves, you can choose to see them in a new way. You can choose to say, no, you know what, like their nose is unique, or the way that they have I don't know, I'm trying to think about what people's like insecurities are. Maybe they worry that they are going to be too much, or they talk too much, or their jokes aren't funny, or they make jokes at at inappropriate times or something. That's my favorite thing, by the way. Or maybe they worry that they're too sarcastic. Some people might say all of a sudden, they'll pick up those thoughts and they'll be like, you know what, she is too sarcastic all the time, I'm not really into this, and then they leave. But if you have someone that has seen a deeper value in you, or intuitively there is something more to be explored between your souls, I think you stick around and you choose to love that person. And I think that this is how love is healing. Look at this. I love this. This is great. I think that this is how love is healing, because even if you decide that you don't want to be with that person, if you're picking up their negative thoughts, you're probably going to be sending loving ones back, because I don't know, the person I am, if I suddenly thought something unkind about someone, like, oh, why are they so sarcastic all the time? I wouldn't be like, oh, that's weird. That's not the kind of person I have become. I'm sure that was the person I was when I was younger, that I would think negatively of people and dismiss them. But I've really decided to start practicing, different mental patterns. And so if I have a negative thought like that, and maybe it came from them, it's their own insecurity, and so it's been transmitted to me through my practice of love. This is going to get me emotional. Through my practice of love, I can choose to have a different thought and send it lovingly back through the law of thought transmission. It's like I don't even have to consciously send it back to them, but I could, instead say, their nose is unique, and I really hope that they love themselves for that. Or, I hope that they don't worry about the fact that their laugh sounds like that or that they talk too much, because I think they have a lot of really great things to say, and that they deserve to be surrounded by people that love and appreciate them, and that if somebody really has, an issue with them talking too much, they'll approach it in a loving way, right? So when we hear other people's negative thoughts about themselves, we don't think, oh wait, that came from them. I mean, we might after a little bit of processing, but originally it sounds like our own thought, right? And this is how consciousness, we're healing each other through love, through the power of love. So I'm thinking something negative of someone, but because I practice loving, non-judgmental thoughts, I will immediately change it and edit it to not be judgmental and negative and harsh and unforgiving. I will apply grace and love and change the thought, and in that way that gets offered back to them. They can now show up as that version of themselves. They now have a little bit more light and love going into them. Because somebody on TikTok recently made the analogy of when you're trying to clear your subconscious mind of all your old negative programming, it's like if you had a glass of, it was kind of icky. Okay, say you have a glass of orange juice, and you poured the orange juice into the glass and you realized it was bad, and so you set it in the sink, and for whatever reason you don't tip it out, but you're like, I want all of this nasty orange juice out of my glass, and you just turn on the water. You have to wait until the clean water, don't get me started on tap water, you have to wait until the water pushes and displaces all of the orange juice out of the glass. So that's you trying to clear or transform your subconscious thoughts. It's probably going to happen a lot faster for the orange juice than for us, but we are pouring that water into their orange juice when we transform our thoughts. So that's why you practicing loving unconditionally and being non-judgmental of yourself and others, no matter what, is having an effect on the entire world, because you are now offering them a new way of being. You are now offering them a drop of love. And I hope that everyone understands how important that is, and I didn't even realize it until I was saying it out loud. So yeah, but I think that these things just kind of naturally unfold when we are interacting with someone, or we have someone in our orbit, in our world. Our thoughts are going to them, their thoughts are coming to us, and one of us or both of us get to purify them. Or, if we're very wounded and we're not, if you're watching this video, I doubt that this is you, but you're probably working to better your thoughts and your mental habits and all of that, like the patterns in your life. So yeah, we're really making a lot of change, whereas before we probably would have just bounced off of each other and sunk further into negative dynamics and old cycles and our wounding. And usually that creates like a pressure point for us to finally say, I'm not doing this anymore, and then allowing for something new to come in. So there's that piece of things. But yeah, we kind of just, like one person starts dreaming about like, oh, like I'd really love to marry him. Maybe you're dating someone, oh, I'd really love to marry him. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I think she's the one. And this is just how it's always worked. But I definitely had, some time in the recent, I think like in the fall, where I was trying to understand this, like, am I truly bending someone into something that maybe isn't in alignment? But I think that if you're aligned with truth and love and really wanting the best for everyone, you're going to let things flow in the way that aligns with that. And you're going to ping off of other people in a way that aligns with that. But at the same time, don't forget that we are in a human experience. We are imperfect by definition, and we are worthy of love in that imperfection. We are whole and worthy. So yeah, this has been fun. Thank you so much for this suggestion and this request. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you want to work one-on-one with me, the info is on my website, link below, thealexandrarose.com. I put bonus content catered specifically to my Patreons in my Patreon community, also down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Lots of love to you.